Man, he's one of the best in the world, man.
The real God MC.
What? Yeah, he's one of the best. You said the real God MC? He's clearly a slime trying to trap me. No, you see, that's the... I think Luatin has over pounds going to it, and it was like, I was like, what? You know what I mean? So it's like, this kind of gives me vim to also do the work I need to do.
Yo, what up, guys? It's the Brew, a little host who's doing the most without getting any hate but the love of hip hop and basketball from all corners of life. And I'm not rolling alone today. This is a collaborative effort with my brother, South African hip hop reloaded. Yo, bro.
I'm nice. How about you?
You know what? Take over, bro.
M.anifest.
How you doing, my brother?
Michao.
Hey, Mr. Mejoso. Wow, that was good. Wow, I was shocked.
How do you say how you doing again? Or what you saying?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah.
I just crammed the greeting and how you. Anything after
the
that?
accent was good though, my brother. Yeah, well
Thank
done.
you very much. Congratulations on the release of your 6th album.
Thank you.
New ROAD and Guava Trees. It has been received well by the masses because I haven't really seen any bad criticism about it. You know, people are just showering with great love, and I've read beautiful articles about it online.
Yeah, thank you.
It has also been featured on various playlists on DSPs like Apple Music, and the Apple Music one specifically, it's basically playlists that delineate the genres of the that you explore on the project. We have chill beats, Afro soul mix, high life, and African hip hop.
Yeah.
You also recently announced that the revered Ebro Darden
Big up Ebro, yeah.
playlisted 2 joints from the project.
Yeah, that was fire.
A-Reece and Free the Youth them.
Yeah.
Notably, it's also your inaugural release through Mass Appeal.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. Well, you have all your facts right, my brother. I was waiting to correct you, but clearly you have your facts in order. Yeah.
That's a stamp of approval. Anyway, how are you feeling, and what do you make of the reception?
No, I'm blessed, man. I think when we create an album, I think we tend to enjoy that process of creating and putting it together. And usually the idea of putting it out and how to make it work and it's so daunting for artists because especially when you've been doing it for a while, because like the world changes, you know what I mean? Usually people are looking for this is the era of first week, numbers, whatever. But I've had so much confidence in this project that I know that the journey afterwards is hopefully just as long as the journey to it, right? So it's been beautiful because I'm building brick by brick and I'm having a good time also just kind of promoting the album. It doesn't even feel like promotion. It feels like evangelism, you know? It's like something I believe in. So I'm happy to, have conversations and talk about it because, yeah. So this time it does feel a bit different. It doesn't feel like a chore. It definitely feels like, easier because I'm coming with a world of confidence. Yeah.
So, what was your first introduction to South African hip hop? Then, which album were you played first when you were like, you know what, I really need to fight with those guys?
Yeah. So to be honest, when I started listening to hip hop, it wasn't albums. See, I came from the era in which, if you were fortunate that somebody in the neighborhood had an auntie or cousin that comes from Canada or the US, they'll bring some songs and then we make mixtapes. I think I come from the original era of a mixtape, where it's like you can have a cassette and later or CDs where you record what you could get access to. So I remember hearing songs in Ghana in particular, Naughty by Nature was huge because of like the anthems, hip hop, OPP, all that anthem things were very huge. I remember Mad Lion from that whole BDP thing, Mad Lion and KRS. Those Mad Lion songs, if you guys don't know, Mad Lion was part of KRS's thing, but it was more like dancehall over hip hop beats. It was huge in Ghana. There's a song called Big Box of Blunts. Okay. If it played, the party would be shut down. So I remember those, and I remember then it got to like, but the very first hip hop song I remember was LL Cool J. When I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the wall, and in the back of my mind, that's the first one I remember. But yeah, so before it got to by the time it got to the album phase, I think the first couple of albums I heard was definitely, I think, one of the Naughty by Nature self-titled albums.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, then Crisscross. You know, shout outs to Crisscross. I definitely wore my jeans the other way around because of Crisscross. You know, I think Nas It Was Written was one of my early albums too. The Fugees, The Score, I love. So if you really look at how, like I'm a student of the most lyrical hip hop and the most artistic hip hop. So I like the Outkast, Fugees, those very super artistic, and I like the super lyrical. So that's kind of where I come together. So that's where. And
So in South Africa, like who introduced you to South African?
oh, sorry, was that your question?
Yeah, that was
Oh my God. So this guy is patient. Me, I'd have been like, yo, I'd have been like, wait, can I curse?
No.
I can curse? Okay, I'd have been like, shut the fuck up. Man. That's not the, oh, wow.
South Africa, yeah. No,
Oh
I
my
had to
God.
tell you your
I
love
was-
for hip
I was-
hop
oh
when
my
you started. So
God.
it was a beautiful thing, though.
Nah,
You did, so, yeah,
it's terrible,
in South
man.
Africa.
Yeah, in South Africa. In South Africa, okay, do you consider TKZ hip hop, or because it's quieter, it's not
Nah,
kind
it's quite though.
but what they are doing, aren't they kind of rapping?
Yeah, I mean, you know, but I'm talking about specific.
Okay, cool. So the earliest hip hop artist I encountered from South Africa was TUMI Molikan, aka Stogie T. Yeah, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name well. But was whilst I was still in the US, TUMI was one of the people I heard first. Double HP, ProVerb, I think Pro Kid at the time too. And that era of MCs I kind of heard first. But definitely I think Jabba and Stogie, now Stogie are the first MCs from here I heard, and ProVerb. So you have to say that's a really good introduction. That's top tier introduction.
How are you discovering them, although while you're based in the US?
Yeah, with Tumi or Stogie, I mean, I think he had a bit of an international presence, so I kind of like online saw it, and then and then so we actually did a collaboration like whilst I still lived in America, like in 2010 or something crazy like that. Shout outs to the internet, because we also had a mutual friend that I used to rap with that made the connection. So with Jabba and Proverb, it's like when I come back home, shout outs to all the stations, channel those things. So when I would want to tap into like what's going on, those were the names that were mentioned. And so that's how and I'm also a curious person. But most people I got to know when I first came to SA, I think that was 2012, yeah.
Okay, home is Ghana. However, at the time of recording and since the 29th of March, last Saturday, you've been on South African soil. What brings you to the motherland apart from the cameo you made at A-Reece's show on Saturday?
To be honest, that was the main reason, right? That's the main reason that brought me. Like we I think we were chatting a while back, and I saw that he had posted that he was gonna have a birthday celebration, and I love A-Reece. And I'm like, man, I want to see that. Your birthday, you rocking your birthday. And he's like, more than you see that, come, let's rock it. So I kind of like pinned it in my mind, but then also when we started working on the album, I was going to be moving around, and I just had to speak to the team and other things and just figure out some time. So I was actually on a promo run in New York, but we kind of played it out quite well so that I could come. And then obviously now that I'm here, we planned ahead to also be able to maybe do some promo and press. Big sense, but to be honest, it was actually because of A-Reece's birthday.
That's big, man. Shout out.
How was the experience at Reece's show, and what did you admire, and what did you essentially make of it?
I think it was dope. The fact that the energy was like on 1,000 entire time. And I entered, and then when I think I entered, it was piano playing. People were hype. I was discovering new songs, and then I think Luatin over Pounds going on, and it was like I was like, what? And then Elaine, everybody singing along, and then so it was. I think it was a beautiful experience because they showed love to a wide array of people. Yeah, and I guess the spirit of the event showed me like, yo, bro, this guy's love and his fans love what he gives to them. So it was beautiful, and also that the scene here is also very alive. Yeah.
What you witnessed at propaganda, you can probably attest that he's really the best in Africa. That
Man, he's one of the best in
the real God MC.
props. Yeah, he's one of the best. You said the real God MC? Ah, he's clearly a slime trying to trap me. No, you see, that's the beautiful thing about like different generations of MCs. So even though him and I are still active, we're not competition to each other. It's inspiration to each other. Like I can never look at my bro and be like, I'm in competition with him. Nah, I mean, I admire what he does. I'm inspired by what he does, and vice versa. And that's what's beautiful. Like, it can't even be that kind of a relationship where I'm like going to compete with my bro. Like, nah, it's not that. Like, what kind of elder am I? Respect myself real quick.
What have you been getting up, like, what have you been up for pleasure? Are you linking up with old friends like TUMI or?
Man, the time is crazy. I'm going to try and link up with, I've started linking up with some friends, but it's going to be crazy because that's we always under budget the time. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to see how many people I can link with. But to be honest, it just reminds me that I need to make another trip here within the next few months.
I think also that gives us a clear path to just dissect your relationship with Reece. I believe it all starts with the Hennessy Cipher in 2022,
Absolutely, yeah.
which brought you guys together and other elite African MCs in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Please talk us through that, the link up with Reece, to the collaborations on P2, and the trip to the US, ultimately to free the youth them.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah, this guy, man. You're a storyteller, some sort of, not just a journalist. You're a storyteller, a max storyteller. Like a criminal storyteller. Okay. So yeah, no. The initial link up was at in Lagos. Both not our homes but closer to mine. Yeah, and that was a dope time. With the other MCs. It was a really good environment to meet other rappers, because we got to connect in a way in which it wasn't rapper connections. Like we got to meet each other as humans, and I think Reece had a really cool vibe. He's into hip hop, and he's also like. I remember, we did our introduction. I was like, yeah, I used to come to this. I used to do, but he's like, I know. So he's very honest, genuine, and I think I probably am the same. So it was a really good connection in that regard. I remember we went to watch MI took us to watch a rap battle in Nigeria, and we were geeking out, man. Like so yeah, we got to bond well. So it was, exchange, digits, and just kind of, when the time was right. I think he's a bit of a visionary in terms of how he puts together his music. So I think when he was working on West Africa Time, he definitely thought of me, because we're every now and then in communication. We went to New York. It was a good time, as well. So yeah. I mean, it's dope to admire and respect people's work, but when you connect with them personally in a way that you fuck with them, is even better. So for me, you can tell in the results.
Yeah.
How people feel about each other and how they connect. You don't have to be best friends, but look, when there's great admiration, you're like, yo, we have a good connection. I think it shows in the music, and that's the kind of connection I think we built organically, just by just kicking it, which is cool. 2 generations of MCs, but still active, yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You good with A-Reece? He love A-Reece, man. You're like, yo, Eli, I want to handle the A-Reece conversation because I'm a fan.
But the crazy thing too is like, I think it's very fascinating for me watching like somebody like that chat. I can confidently say I haven't seen any rapper on the continent chat the path he's chatting. So I think I've been very fascinated in that regard, because when you focus on just who your audience is, and also you focus on just what you want to do, and then find success that way, is a very interesting thing, because nobody else understands it but you and your ecosystem, and you don't seem to care about it, and I think, just even on just a music tip, I also respect how people move in that regard, where it's like, how you move is authentic to also the music you do. So yeah, no, big up to them, So yeah, I understand why you're a big fan. That's what I'm saying.
One last thing on that. Do you have a favorite song on the 3 songs that do you have a favorite amongst the 3?
Amongst the 3, no, because it's okay. I guess to be honest, I think West Africa Time is probably the most iconic, because it kind of was unexpected for people, and it's also like breaks the rules, no hook, long ass song in this era of short songs. So I would say it's probably currently the most iconic, but all three serve a purpose. Champion feels very inspiring. FTYD2 is kind of similar to Champion in the sense that, we are barring, but it's about something. It's kind of like, free the youth so yeah, I think they all serve different purposes, which is good. You can't collaborate and be a one-trick pony about it. You give the people what they want, but sometimes you give them what they need first.
All right. Now you signed to Master P. As much as you told the story before, can you let the high viewers and SAHipHop learn how did you link up with them?
Yeah, no. After I finished like the first incarnation of the record, New ROAD and Guava Trees, I started talking to some of the the music folks, music business folks, trying to figure out where I was going to go with it, whether it's distribution, etc. And me, I've been independent for so long that I'm always kind of ready to go that route.
Wait, from 05 till now you were independent?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I've done distribution with Orchard, and I think I did something with Believe in the past. But yeah, indie straight, yeah, it's crazy. So in that process of trying to figure out what's going on, one of the homies kind of, made the connection between myself and Mass Appeal because he had heard the record, and I think he also knew they were trying to expand. I mean, they've done incredible work in Asia, and I think it was appropriate that the continent. Yeah, exactly. And you know what? When the thought or the idea was brought to me, it was just like, I almost felt like, yes, like what are we talking about, But I'll be dead honest, I felt like it would come later on because I was ready to move with my record. But after our first meeting, 10 minutes in, we're so aligned that it's like, yo, let's go.
So the record came before even linking with them. It was ready.
Well, not as it is now. So shout outs to them for sort of, I think. Yeah, but there was a version of the record that could have gone before.
The title, was it?
The same title.
Oh, okay,
yeah, but but I think when you develop a new relationship, you can evolve it too, because just yeah.
Now you are in. So
I'm here now.
No. I'm talking about the record there, obviously, Master P. So, what was like your first encounter and conversation with Nasir?
Oh man, the true God MC. I've been the one faking as a God MC. All this time. Yeah, no, it was in London. I think he was having his I think romantic anniversary. So he was having a Royal Albert Hall concert, which is epic with the orchestra. So post that there was a really dope private party by Mass Appeal somewhere in London. And inside the private party was also another private space. Levels to that. And that's where we first met, and it was super dope. I mean, the man has incredible humanity, and it's beautiful to meet the legends who have like aged so gracefully and just like their aura is intact and they are who you think they are, even though you don't really know a person. But I mean, he's very graceful. Salute. Yes, absolutely. It was super dope. Like, I've been in this thing for a long time, and rarely do I like sort of, am I in awe of somebody? But I can definitely say I'm in genuine human awe of him. Not because like he's a dope rapper, but just how he carries himself, man. It's incredibly, it's incredibly inspiring to see people carry themselves that way.
So, what does this mean for your international aspirations?
This means like, and this means that, when you get a shoe in, you kick the door down, you know what I mean? So it's like, this kind of gives me vim to also do the work I need to do together with Mass Appeal to like break down more barriers globally. I think it's an opportunity, obviously, because being with a label that has gravitas, not gravitas as in like, we're a label. No, Mass Appeal is known for hip hop. And and if you have an African artist or an African hip hop artist like myself with also gravitas and credibility, and we come together, it means that we should break new ground. So if we have this conversation in another year and I haven't broken new ground, tell me that, yo, guy, you need to quit.
Yeah, let's jump to the album.
Can I just,
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I like what's going on here.
You also signing with Mass Appeal just essentially means that you're trying to expand beyond the African shores.
Yeah, absolutely.
but also when I listen to the album, it still sounds true to you. You're not necessarily trying to conform to the American market or whatever untouched territory that Mass Appeal can help you reach. The album, your Ghanaian roots are still prevalent.
Yeah.
The sound of it is still very African as well. Even your style of rapping, you know. How important is that to you? Staying true to yourself and not trying to compromise your artistic integrity.
You know what? How does the cliche goes? Like everyone else is taken, basically. Being yourself is probably the best move in this world. The world is saturated. If you go to America, like there's everybody. There's a Mick Jenkins, there's a Joey Badass, there's a Kendrick, there's everybody already.
Yeah.
I can't go there as a poor man's version of any of those. I'm going there as the best version of myself, which is comparable or sometimes even, I don't want to say better because human beings are humans, but which carries myself with the confidence that, this is something special I'm bringing here. And I think we all have to carry ourselves with that confidence. Like, what is your authentic self? And that's where you take it. And music is music. African music is booming. Whether it's hip hop, whether it's piano, whether it's Afrobeats, African music is booming. This is the time where all the doors that other African artists have opened, we should also encourage us to like lean more into who we are, right? So that I'm not about to start talking about New York. I'm going to keep talking about Accra, Lagos, Nairobi, Josie, because that's where I know. And just as it was interesting for me to hear Biggie talk about Brooklyn and Kendrick about Compton, it's going to also be that for somebody hearing me talk about Accra and African stories, right? And I have that confidence. If the music is dope first and foremost, that's my responsibility. Dope by dope standards. It doesn't matter where I'm from. Yeah, I don't have to. Yeah, my guy. Exactly.
So also, without getting into the nitty, I'm sorry. Without getting into the nitty-gritties of the deal, I just want to understand how much creative control they have over the material. Perhaps you could also reference this with the latest body.
No, I don't think that's what Mass Appeal is not in the business of trying to like. They're in the business of trying to enhance what's there, right?
Oh, okay.
Like they're trying to, obviously it's a label and an entity that is creative, as you can see from what they do even outside of putting out records. Like if you look at the social, some of the interviews conducted, etc. So there's a lot of creative input that I love, like especially when it comes to marketing and other things of sorts, and just getting feedback like, what do you think of the album cover, those kind of things. So, so because there's alignment, I don't think there's even been there's not a single thing that one worries about in terms of creative control. Like I said, I've been doing this for a minute, so it's also great working with people in which you're alignment with, who can also bring input that you value, not actually input that is imposing on you. I don't think that's there. I know for sure that's not the case.
Okay, back to the album. 14 tracks, perfect, like featuring A-Reece, Kim Promise, Toby, Arathan J, and others. How long did it take you to put the entire project, and what was the creative process prior to the album?
No, thank you. So the inception of the album, or me beginning the journey of the album, was January 2023. I remember I was recording, after Dirty December in Ghana. There's always
Dirty December?
Oh, you don't know Dirty December? Okay, Dirty December is what we call our Christmas era. So a lot of people come into Ghana, right? So we've nicknamed it Dirty December because people come and dirty themselves. Have a good time. It's like spring break. So a lot of people come from out of town, a lot of the diaspora, a lot of people from the UK, Caribbean, US. So what tends to happen is early January, there's still people that are still there. Yeah. So for me, there are people that are still there. So I started doing link-ups in studios, etc. I started recording tracks. I just had a moment, and I'm feeling very inspired. I think I want to do an album. And I know what kind of album I want to do. Yeah. Who do I want to do this album with? I'd reconnected with my producer friend Budo, who I used to work early on in my career with, but we hadn't worked together since 2011. He's been doing dope stuff too, producing for other major acts and other great. Yeah, exactly, all those kind of people. But we had reconnected, over the last couple of years. So every time we send each other music and everything. So somehow the universe was calling us together. So I gave him a call and told him what I wanted to do. And he was like, any way I can help, I'm down. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. So maybe let's just one of us fly to whatever. So I flew to so the idea was that I was going to go to America for like 4 to 6 weeks and record the album. That's what I did. So the majority of the album was done in that period. We were in Seattle and in LA. And then so by July of 2023, I had the first version of the album mastered, ready to go. But you know, the universe, you have to listen to the universe. You can't be in a rush all the time. And the universe, I had other things that whilst I'm trying to think of artwork, etc., then you know, it evolves. Yes, exactly. So the main structure, the main thing was done in 2023, but between that time and January 2025, critical changes happen. Even though small, significant. FTYD came later because if it came later, for instance, and imagine if that song was not on the album. My God, what a travesty! So it was the majority of it, the body of it was done in a 6 week period, and the entire thing, in terms of tweaks, etc., was in a 2 year period. So yeah.
The title suggests themes of fresh start and new success. Can you break down the meaning behind the name and how it reflects where you are right now?
So I grew up in an area called Medina New Road. So when I had the idea of trying to take a new path and try and, you know, because using where I've reached to really take a new path, the idea of taking a new road came to my mind. And because I grew up in a place called Medina New Road, it triggered me. So it was perfect. I like it when the story kind of fits that way. And then, you know, I was thinking of the idea of just kind of making a climb, and so it's like reference the guava tree that I grew up in when I grew up with in that house in New Road when I was a child. So I like that partly. I titled it that, and I like that I titled it that partly because look, we have the idea that to go move forward in the future, you have to revisit the past. So I was able to revisit my past to really think of how to move forward in the future. So for me, it was the perfect title for the project because the project is forward looking. This is really a new me in a very clear me, confident me, unapologetic me that has learned from those many years of experience and that knows now how to intentionally take a new road and elevate. Yeah.
What significance does the guava tree hold for you?
Man, you know, you have to make a fruitful climb, man. But it's also about the process, you know what I mean? It's like you don't get to fruits by standing at the bottom. Well, if you know how to throw stones, but for the most part, you have to make a climb. So it's about process and getting to the fruits of your labor. Well, the fruits of your labor is getting to the fruits, but it's about process for me. So and it also shows that the idea of a road is not also like a linear thing. It could be this way, right? It's like you're getting to something fruitful, and taking a new road might actually be climbing a tree.
Okay.
You get me? So, but it was really enchanted by the idea of kind of getting to something fruitful, and the fact that you have to make a climb.
Uh, I wanted to break down the artwork. Let's go there. Like I really wanted you to break down the artwork. Like who came up with the idea?
I have to say, I have to say that low key or high key, I think I'll go. What is it? It's not band for band. Artwork for artwork with anybody. I say I might have the best catalog of artwork, man. Partly because I really love art, and like it's also just the same way I put in effort in trying to
Make the music.
make music. We really agonize over the artwork, at least from 2015 onwards. So in this particular one, I have a creative agency I work with called Pepe, two cats, incredible guys. I've worked with them on other projects, the Gamble artwork as well. But they think of things holistically. So it's like, it's not just artwork. It's like, what is the whole experience looking like? So it's like you made the music. So what does this whole, how does it correlate? How does it carry forward? And so one of the triggers that came for them was that, yo, how if you're doing the new road, why can we not play on the idea of commissioning a road, which is sort of in outside of the world what these politicians like to do. So it's a satire, it's a satirical take on people trying to commission a new road, especially the politicians who probably have not done much but are trying to get all the props. But so I embodied that character on the cover, and then obviously it wasn't an ordinary road. it was a road underneath, which is the guava, the fruit. So it's like, yeah. So exactly. So yeah, trying to combine those, being able to combine those in that image, and also having that kind of social commentary, for us felt like, oh, we've hit the mark with this thing, and then we started going into like the color schemes, like what do we need to do, and I don't want to like over explain things because I like think people to get them, but that was the basic thing that triggered us, and us being able to tell more of a story than what's just on the album, the idea of even a satirical piece about like our leaders and them commissioning roads and me taking on that character.
Can you also please elaborate on what the new road represents for you? Where do you see yourself headed?
Where do I see myself headed? Man, I I think earlier in this interview I talked about like I think I'm primed in a position to definitely do more global facing things. Yeah. That's where I see it headed. Like I definitely want to be able to hit uncharted territory in terms of what people like me who make music like I do have been able, the kind of damage we do in the world. I think I'm in a good spot to be able to do that. So it's almost beyond like a personal gratification. I feel like it's almost a responsibility that somebody who's been given this kind of opportunity and has had the experience that I've had, that both the creative and cultural currencies now to like kind of go ham and really make an impact in the world. Because that will allow many more people who come to like do incredible. It's just like that. So, I didn't wait to be chosen. I chose myself. So let's go.
So yeah, looking at everything you've done in your music, actually looking at your legacy and everything you've built, what do you still want to achieve in the next phase of your career?
Yeah, I do think there's still quite so much to achieve. I think more immediately, like I said, I think it's being able to go on uncharted territory in terms of where the music can reach. So the reach, like doing incredible reach with the music, not in a way in a global sense, from the touring to the streaming to the spaces that I'm actually physically able to enter. Like I just did a press run in New York and definitely entered spaces I hadn't before. Need to be doing that across this next year, for this, and I think we can do it. It's not an easy thing, but it's doable. So that's number one. Number two, I definitely am looking forward to like kind of working with a couple of other artists to like sort of who are especially like different but potent, to kind of also be able to break ground globally. I want if in 5 years or maybe 10 years, I definitely hope that I would have been able to play a role in at least 3 artists who do incredible things in the world and completely surpass anything I could have dreamt of.
And you'll do that, I believe.
Track one on the album, Time Catch, it speaks to seizing the moment, feeling a sense of urgency, and being ready for a global reach. With the muscle of mass appeal now behind you, what would you say? Okay, you've touched on your goals on a global scale, but rather, do you feel like you've conquered Africa, or is there still work needed to be done?
Oh man, I haven't even conquered my neighborhood. We've never truly conquered anything in that regard. But I mean, I was being facetious with that answer, but no, I haven't in that regard. But you see, an artist like myself has to look at it a little differently, right? Because I've been an alternative in the mainstream, right? So when you're alternative in the mainstream, it's like it's not the same as like any pop act, pop hip hop. You know what I mean? So for instance, I understand like I don't need how many people are in Africa? Fact check. I thought you were like the fact checker. I think it's a bit of a billion probably. Let's just say a billion. Let's say a billion. I don't. My idea is not to. Is I'm not interested in like the idea of let's say you saying conquering Africa. I'm not interested in 800 million or even a billion people knowing me. I'm interested in like, look, if there's a like-minded audience of 100 million music fans in Africa, being able to reach those people and also like have them like actively like participate in whatever music community we build. That's more of what I'm talking about. So I haven't done that, and that's also can be done in a global scale. And also, yeah, to chart a new path. Like, I do think artists from the continent have to start thinking, for instance, that look, you can be an artist that's doing incredible streaming shows, etc., without even being seen as the biggest in your country. Because let's say you have even 1 million fans in every African country, actual fans, so not 1 million people know you, and you're able to activate them. Imagine what kind of damage you can do. You understand? It's more of an interesting path to me than sort of. I mean, look at something like Odd Future, right, or Tyler. That's what that kind of path they creates in the U.S. We can create paths like that globally and in Africa. Everything doesn't have to be like. I think we view things, the idea of dominance and conquering through the very pop lens of like, no mass appeal, of like everybody knows you, like very pop-based lens. But there's, there are other lenses to do in which you can generate even more results. There are artists in the world, for instance, who don't have name recognition in Africa, but who stream more than a lot of people who Africans know. And in the shows, they are doing packed out shows. Yeah, exactly. So I think for me, I'm interested in those other paths, especially for artists who are not who make different music. So and me, I'm one of those artists. Like my shit can bump with a lot of people, but I don't expect a lot of people to immediately, because I'm not a lifestyle artist. I'm not out here talking about the champagne and all that stuff. I mean, I'm trying to reach into your soul. I'm trying to, tell you stories. I'm doing it at the highest ability, obviously, but it's not like, it's like movies. Like, it's not eternal. I am more Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind than Furious 5. And it is what it is.
Can you please tell us what's the story behind Wine and Blues?
Wine and Blues. Oh my God. Yeah, I started working on that. That's produced by Kensai and my guy Budo. And yeah, it's one of those ones like I was in the studio, I had the beat or the initial structure, and I kind of started creating without knowing where it was going. And that's why all the 3 verses I have are different. The first one is just me kind of like doing the very thing, daily stress and learning lessons. My transgressions lead me to depression. Like, that was my mood at that time. So I kind of expressed it. And then, after I finished that first verse, I was going to do the hook. Then I said, like, no. And then I felt the second verse, and I did the second verse. Then I was like, you know what? There's nobody else I can hear on this than R the J. I'd been tapped in with R the J for like 2 or 3 years, and I was like, this kid is incredible. He's very soulful and spiritual, but knows how to do it in a wavy way. Sent it to him. He sent it back like nobody's business. I was like, I didn't have to say a word to him.
From Ghana?
He's from Ghana. Yeah. Okay. By the end of this year, his name will be everywhere. Trust me. I prayed that for him.
I think he dropped me singing on Friday or something.
Go check his whole catalog so far and check out all the music he's coming with. He's fire. He's super fire. And it came from just my feelings at the moment, but it also came from me just allowing the song to like build itself, and then also just kind of just being in tune with it enough to know the right person to kind of collaborate with. And then the last part, which is when we did the beat switch, etc., I think I did last, because after we had the song, I was like, yeah, it's cool, it's viably, but we need to, because it's kind of a soulful tune in terms of what we're talking about. Yeah. We need a little respite, a little outro that kind of gets into your soul a little bit. So that's how it worked out, Yeah.
Okay. Your argument to my next question could be perhaps that Burna Boy is a global superstar whilst having rendered his music in his native language. But perhaps the mainstream sensibilities of his record gave him an edge, and that's why he's in his current position, despite the truth of perhaps a huge majority of his audience not understanding what he's saying. New Road and Guava Trees incorporates both English and what I believe is your native language. Don't you think that your native language might have an impact on at least how far your music can go? Anything of that nature that presents a language barrier presents?
No language barrier if the music is dope. There's like a zillion examples, What's Gangnam Style? What is the language in it? What's Macarena? Like, bruh, like African music, the most poppin' African music, who knows what they're saying?
Couldn't we attest that to the mainstream sensibilities of the songs?
What is the mainstream sensibility of it? Is it the melodic way or is it the beat, etc.? But like when you hear okay, so take my album, when you hear Ginger Me and Vibes, you have no idea what it means. But look at that hook. I mean the music. Anopa Yusufa Nyame Nyame. boys that was in Yanni, good energy on eyes. Night. And also, I'm also kind of like a fusion guy, so you're gonna pick out certain things. But once it sounds good in your ear and it's an earworm, or it just has something that really attracts you to it, that's all you need. Music has several hacks. Let me tell you. I once remember telling a friend of mine when that Roddy Ricch song got big, The Box, right? Was that what it's called? The Box.
Yeah, the box. Yes, the box.
Let me tell you, that was that era. I started pointing out to a friend of mine who's a songwriter. He does so many songwriting camps, UK, etc. I say, yo, bro, see what's happening now, and I love it. There's a new wave. It's an old wave, but there's a new wave that of songs in which people are not repeating. Choruses are like 16 bars. Think of that. He's not repeating even one line in that hook. Nah, 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 nah. Like same with Bodak Yellow. Like it's a whole verse for a chorus. Formula is dead. Any idea of limitation is dead. Just be creative, but do it in a way in which you're communicating something dope to people, and you'd be surprised.
I think we've about to come up to the end of the show, obviously. But before I leave on my side, let's talk about Secondhand, which is for me is one of my favorite songs on the album. How did it come about? And yeah, man, just take us through everything there on the second.
So I recorded that song in Seattle. My friend Budo, my producer homie, had brought a guy in Benjamin to come and listen to some of the records we created. So we were just vibing, maybe from like 10 a.m. to 12. And then he gave Benjamin the guitar, and Benjamin started playing the doom, doom, doom. And I just kind of started humming the hook, too many. Because I also come from having thoughts. A lot of the things that just come to me are things I've ruminated on for years, right? So, there's a lot of freaking, on the literal level, there's a lot of clothing and other waste that has always dumped on Africa. I have a friend who has a company called The Revival that's actually about, what do you call it? Reviving clothes. so, so, so that was on the literal level. So I'm making references to a lot of these secondhand these things, but on the other level, on the metaphorical level, it's just like the idea of nothing's new under the sun. You know what I mean? Everything is recycled, including ideas. And so, number one is so that we don't get too precious about everything. Like, hey, me, I just did this. And number two, to also remember that like there is something beautiful about reviving things, right?
Yeah, in your own unique way.
Yeah. So everything is secondhand. You know what I mean? So we live in Africa as a secondhand economy. They dump everything here in Africa, bro. From refrigerators, maybe not as much in SA, but in Ghana, bruh, everything is secondhand. Even underwear, and I'm like, bruh, I would never touch that. It's terrible. But you know what I mean? But people are making also a lot of beautiful things from, secondhand. Hip hop started as a secondhand art. We sampling. We take something and revive it, correct? Reinvent it. So it's me taking a simple idea of what happens in the environment, and I guess metaphorically stretching it a little bit just to give us some inspiration that, Charlie, everything is second, nothing is new under the sun, but that doesn't mean that should give you vim to be able to like recreate with whatever little you have. Yeah.
And that line, even ants build a giant.
Even ants build hills that are gigantic. Like, look at that. Like, they're tiny ants. They're like that tiny. They don't look at their size to let it diminish them or say that we can't do this. But look at an ant hill. How do those little things build it? And if they can do that, what can you do with whatever? Yeah, as a human being. So yeah, I mean, a lot of what I say in music is really like message to self. Stuff I want to tell myself that I feel like other people might find useful too. So
Any videos? Because I think you've only released one video and a visualize on the album.
My guy, videos are expensive. So if you can give me money for videos, I'll shoot videos for everything. Bruh, everything's about recouping too, man. You want me to be poor? No, I mean, look, it's once again, speaking of, we can segue from secondhand to this. Like, I usually say to my manager, and I still believe it, that what you don't have in resources, sometimes you make up for in creativity. So I'm going to find all the creative ways to push. We can't have these old ideas of just music video. I'm making content like nobody's business. You know what I mean? And I want to be able to use content to help storytell a lot of things on the album without the pressure of like, yo, do you have $20K for like a music video and stuff? That, you know, I'm not trying to break the bank. I'm trying to be creative and make the boss. Yeah. I think that's it. Yeah. Everything I said is summarized there. I'm not trying to break the bank. I'm trying to make the bank. There you go, my guy.
I just want to touch on the collaboration with WHP Jenga.
Yeah.
Specifically the video. Yeah. Cruising through Johannesburg at the back of a van. Yeah. Masquerading as African dictators.
Exactly.
Dressed in military coats and colorful kufis. Yeah. What was the idea behind that? And what were you guys hoping to capture with the visual?
Yeah, man. Oh, man. It's such a fun memory, and it's also sad because rest his soul, man. I love that man. He was dope. Yeah, but once again, Joby from here, and was the one who worked on the video for us, and Mateo as well, the DP. But yeah, no, the idea was, once again, you can take something from the environment, right? So there's always political season, African politicians, whether local or national ones, always just making noise and trying to convince people that they are the greatest. So we decided to kind of once again satirize that, in a very bricks and mortar way. It's like, okay, we have the microphones, and this is our podium, and we are going through the streets to kind of, I guess, beg for people's belief in us, and the song is really Charlie Missing Jiga Calm Down. It's like I'm amped up, so it's like the perfect way we thought to do that was that, and it felt beautiful. Once again, being able to do something that did more than just what the song says. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I'm always down with that. But rest his soul, man. That was one of my favorite collabs as well. Yeah. Till today, people are like, I meet people and
they be like, yo, that feature did most,
Their favorite African hip hop collabs, at least across countries.
The ProVerb one as well. What's the title again?
ProVerb's M.anifest.
Exactly. Because I was looking at I was watching the video last night on YouTube, and the comments are, people are just mad at the fact that it's underrated, and some of them hailed him as the best African collaboration in terms of rap.
Yeah, but what people need to remember is like everything in this time, when you make shit that's dope and also has potency, it seems like it keeps growing over the years. It doesn't die off, and it might see its day the way they're seeing it tomorrow.
Because also it came out in 2012, right?
Yeah.
And then the video 2014 as well.
Oh, that's true, right? I don't even remember that. Okay. This guy.
I don't know which came, so wait to your fans and South African hip hop fans.
Yeah. Big up to South African hip hop and South African hip hop fans. You guys, even though I'm from Ghana, I admit you guys literally are the home of African hip hop. I admit, you take that one. But thanks for all the support. It's been really dope, kind of coming in and out of this scene from 2012. So now I've missed you guys. I've been a prodigal friend and brother. I haven't come here in a bit, but it's good to reconnect and check out the new music. Everybody who's supported, I appreciate and respect you. Thank you, my brethren. I respect that. Shout outs to Hype. Don't believe the hype unless it's this one.
That's it. SAHipHop Reloaded, Hype Magazine, Josie Lights, Accra Nights, keep shining bright. Bless up.
Nah, I think that's enough for me, guys. We out.